Here's my 1973 Ford F250. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Right off the bat, we see it sporting some axles that were not factory. These axles are from a 2006 Ford F250 Super Duty. The front is a solid axle Dana 60. The rear is a Sterling 10.5. Disc brakes all the way around. Look at that bumper. Nice 1/4-inch steel. Light bars brighter than the headlights. Welded these on. Welded those on. And just look at that stance. We've got a sway bar. Nice big tires. Let's go on over to the other side. What kind of motor do you guys think it has in it? Take a listen. Sure sounds like a Power Stroke to me. If you guessed it's a 7.3, you'd be correct. But if you guessed the Power Stroke, you'd be incorrect. That's a 7.3 IDI diesel with a turbo. Look at those welds. I did that. This exhaust piping is off of the Power Stroke. Is off of the Super Duty chassis that had a Power Stroke in it. I did this exhaust myself. Dumps out just like that, right on the disc brake rotor. You know, that's good for it. That's the same drive shaft that was out of the Super Duty. It only had to be shortened like, what, 2 inches or something like that to work with the divorce transfer case. We've got 1410 U-joints all the way around. Yeah, mounted that rear axle. Basically had to cut the perches off, center it perfectly, weld the new builder perches on, get new U-bolts. Now, looking over here at the front, we've got Super Duty axles, coil spring Super Duty axles. There's a company called Battleborn Brakes that makes these mounts. All you have to do is just cut out the factory rivets that would be right here. Let's go ahead and look up underneath the hood. Under here, we're sporting 2 die-hard batteries, battery cables from a semi, a custom radiator fan shroud. Look at the zip tie. Look at that nice zip tie work. Nice fan shroud. We've got the Banks Sidewinder Turbo. Still working on a cold air setup. Right now it's hot air, you know, for more performance. But for the cold air, I'm gonna get a tube that'll go from right here, and then I'm gonna cut a hole somewhere right in here to draw a nice cold air out from right here. We've got Hydro Boost brakes. That's ran off of that power steering pump right there. Look at that fan shroud. Look at that fan. I just did that. This motor was overheating before. Now it stays nice and cool. Look at all the lack of blow-by from this motor. Hardly any. Nice custom wiring. Go ahead and close this hood. Get a view from the front. This is how these trucks should have came from the factory. Nice CB antenna, goes all the way up like 10 feet. Man, if these would have came from the factory like this, they couldn't have built them fast enough. I welded on these grab handles. Helps a person get in easier. Both sides. Doors off of an F600. They're less likely to rust out because they were up way higher. They have cooler door handles, nicer mirrors for towing, which I do with this truck. Here's my KC lights. Got 4 of them. Look close. Are those bolts? They sure are. I raised it up. Before, it was level with that, so I cut that off and raised it up. This is the first time I've been over in this area. Let's go ahead and climb in, take the truck for a drive. They don't call them mud kickers for nothing. Could have kept going and synced the board. Hard. Do a little bit of a brake stand here. kind of show the boost and how the motor does. So we're going about 53 right now. 5 pounds of boost in 4th gear. And I'm letting up there. I don't want to push anymore. Well, looking in the interior, look at that nice steering wheel we have on there. Working fuel gauge, temperature gauge, you don't need that. I've got one right down there. Look at that. That fan shroud is perfect. Sounds like I might need to tighten a belt up. Absolutely beautiful oil pressure. Old CB radio from the same, basically, year of the truck. You know, we had to put one of those in there. Thing works too. I've got a seat from like a 88 to like 94 OBS Ford truck. Why? Well, it's way more comfortable. It's not as old or as terrible as the ones from the 70s. It even has an armrest. Right here. Look at that. Well, let's go for a little spin. That's fine. You hear the branches. That's fine. Doesn't hurt it. Actually rides pretty good considering. I do want to swap to the Super Duty leaf springs, I believe from a 2015 and up or something like that. Whatever Battle-Born Brakes makes for this truck is what I want to swap it to. Next year I'll be doing a better fuel tank. It's called, from a company, Aero Tanks. It's a 42-gallon tank. It's a lot better than this 18-gallon in-cab tank. Out of this tank I can only pull, what, about 14 gallons before it starts sucking air. You can't have that with these diesel motors. And yes, I will be getting a brand new windshield. This windshield is old, it's scratched up, it's all foggy. It just makes this truck driving at night not very pleasant. That sound is called gear rollover. It's with a single mass flywheel on this diesel motor. Let's see if it'll idle in 2nd gear up this hill. Real low RPMs. Yes, I said RPMs. I'm looking at the oil pressure too. We're just barely idling. Looks like it'll do it, but I don't like that oil pressure. So I'm getting on the gas. Power steering. These are the kind of trails I built the truck to do. Well, I missed the fall colors. Whatever leaves are still on. Not very many. It was beautiful about a week ago. It got real cold and windy. All the leaves came right off. Look at that spotlight. Now we're to the tar road.